Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Tuesday weather update. And we've got a lot of weather moving through the country over the next week. And in fact, over the next week and a half, there's a lot moving through. A lot of rain and a lot of high pressure. So let's take a look at the animated wind map. Today we've put on the air pressure, a huge amount of high pressure stretching down and south of New Zealand, and then low pressure here to the north. And it's this slow moving, lazy low pressure. That's the reason that we've been seeing some big downpours in the north, which we'll talk about in a very short moment. The other feature in between these two systems, the cooler southeasterly flow, and that's about to move further into the North Island where there's rain, which means rain plus cold equals snow. So we've got some snow on the way, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. But first of all, let's talk about the rain that is moving around the North Island. This is the Met Service rain radar taken around about the middle of Tuesday morning. This is a 2-hour animation that rocks. So it moves along and then it goes back to the start and replays. And we show it like that to you because 2 hours of rainfall, and as you can see, it's really not moving very fast. This is the beginning of it here, and it moves in Coromandel, Bay of Plenty. Those downpours are slow moving, and that's what we were seeing last night north of Auckland. As you can see, these downpours are not widespread. There's large areas of dry, but if you're underneath one of them, your rainfall totals might be double or triple what is actually forecast because it is so slow moving. So rainfall wise, over the next 3 days, we're seeing big totals again, or big-ish totals around the eastern side. Not huge totals, but on top of the rain we've just had, you'll notice it. So 30, 40 millimetres coming through still. Now that's the average rainfall. On top of that, you've got those thundery downpours that we just showed you, and some of those can double or even more that rainfall forecast. So those are the parts that we look out for, and that's the reason why Met Service put out those thunderstorm outlooks. And even when it's a low risk, that's still a risk of seeing double your rainfall in that one area where you get one of those sort of thundery downpours. Now on top of the rain, we've got snow. That colder air is moving into the North Island, interacts with that rain, and look at that, a few snow flurries in the Gisborne Ranges, Hawke's Bay Ranges, Mount Ruapehu. The skiers will be very happy to see that. It's been a long time coming, and the snow flurries in the south are getting lighter, some very cold weather on the way there. And there's a bit of rain on the way for Australia in the days ahead. This is the 5-day rainfall. We've got that low down here moving past, and it's going to drive in some bigger rainfall totals up to 35 millimetres there, and around Sydney around about 15 to 20 millimetres, so not too great. Let's have a look now at the forecast. Here we are as we get into Wednesday. You can see that block of high pressure around New South Wales and Tasmania. That's the one that is stretching out towards New Zealand at the moment, but we've still got this sort of funny low pressure with not a lot of wind, so those isolated downpours are still there. So even though your forecast might say you've got 6 millimetres today, if you've got a thunderstorm risk or a risk of downpours, that number could really lift up. So that's what we're talking about with these slow moving systems. But I have to say, by Wednesday, the southeasterly flow is starting to push that away. And by the time we get into Thursday, you can see now proper southeasterly airflow, showers along the eastern side of the North Island with snow flurries higher up. And then over on the other side, Waikato, for example, sunny and clear. Big frost coming up on Thursday night, Friday morning, -2 for you. And over in Australia, not frosty, strong to gale force winds from Adelaide down to Melbourne with rain and showers moving there, and another high arriving for those of you over in Perth. So we get to the end of this week and high pressure dominates the South Island. In the North Island, you've got southeasterly winds. That means for those areas that are sheltered, frosts are likely. For places like Tekapo, Lake Tekapo on the South Island, -7 is the low tonight, and you've got -6s and -5s and -4s right through until the weekend. It's about a week's worth of very cold weather, and your high today was 1. So not exactly tropical in the South Island at the moment, and it'll stay that way right through to the end of the week. And even as we go into the weekend, look at this big high on Saturday across New Zealand, settled with just a few showers lingering still, maybe up here around Mahia Peninsula and Gisborne. And this low, that's the rainmaker that comes in across New South Wales, and by Saturday it's moving out to sea. Now this is the, we've got one more map after that, I just remembered, Sunday. Now this is the low that I want you to focus on, and the high, because next week there's a very interesting setup in New Zealand. This powerful high fed by, look at this huge area of high pressure. This high here is going to move further to the east and expand from 1030 into the 1040s. That will act like a giant brick wall and pulling down airflows from Fiji straight down into this low. So there's a possibility next week of flooding in the north of both main islands of New Zealand as this system moves in to Northland and Nelson, for example, if this setup remains, which the modelling today suggests it will. But we're still a week away, so we can't lock it in just yet. But certainly frosts this week for New Zealand, a chance of floods next week. And in Australia, this big wall of high pressure carries on, moving eastwards into the areas that have just had some rain. That is all from me. We'll see you again tomorrow, Wednesday, with our next update.